Hello everyone, my name is Beansprout, and today I'm here to attempt to give you my thoughts on the age-old debate that has caused a large amount of conflict around the globe for years on end. And that is the debate of which version of the classic game, Doom 3, is superior. Vanilla Doom 3 from way back in 2004, which was a massive year for FPS games with many giants such as Half-Life 2, Halo 2 and Fear being released. Actually, editing Beansprout here. Fear was released in 2005, not 4. Oops. Or Doom 3 BFG edition, which was released much later, with it coming out on the 16th of October 2012. But some of you who are unfamiliar with these two games may be wondering, Beansprout, what is the need to compare these two games? I mean, is it not just the same game with one of them being more polished for modern audiences? And while yeah, you're partially right in the way that these two games are at the core the same game, but there's quite a lot of differences between them that greatly alter the gameplay experience in some ways that I feel kinda miss the point of Doom 3. But in order to gain a greater understanding of things and come to a better conclusion of which game is the better Doom 3, then I feel it's somewhat necessary to give you some background and take you right back to where this all started. Late in the year 2000, where Doom 3 first began. However, before I get into this, I was wondering if you could maybe consider liking this video and even subscribing, as this would help more people see this video and grow the discussion out even wider. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Okay, so yeah, you should probably know this already, but Doom 3 was developed by id Software, the company behind this, and the company behind the technology that was used and altered to eventually create this, and this. But something that you may not have known is that the team at id Software that developed Doom 3 consisted of only around 20 to 22 people, which when you compare that to the development teams of many FPS games nowadays, such as Halo Infinite, Modern Warfare 2, and the latest installment of the Doom franchise, Doom Eternal, that is a tiny amount of developers to be working on a game, especially when that game made so many technological leaps in terms of visuals. Back in 2004, Doom 3 was seen as a visual spectacle, and it was really a step forward for how video games could portray themselves visually. The main things that were considered impressive back then when it came to this game was the lighting and its shadows, and these two elements not only played a massive role in building the game's atmosphere, but they also served a pretty interesting gameplay purpose, which I'll get into later. Other less important things I would like to mention about the visuals is that the mirrors in this game actually work, and also the computers in the game, which to be fair aren't really a visual thing, but are something that I feel are really cool and I'd like to mention, can actually be fully interacted with. And it's pretty unfortunate that many newer games these days don't include these kinds of features. But when the game was eventually released in 2004, how was it received? Well, Doom 3 was said to have been a critical and commercial success, with it selling over 3.5 million copies, from the time of 2004 up until 2007, which made Doom 3 the most successful Doom game in the series at that time, with it only being beaten 12 years later by Doom 2016, which had managed to sell over 2 million copies from the time of May 2016 till June 2017, and that was only on the PC, so not including the consoles or anything. This proves that Doom 3 being the black sheep of the Doom franchise is just a myth. Up until recently, many people have come to enjoy Doom 3 and seen it as a respectable entry into the series. So I have absolutely no idea where this idea of Doom 3 not being a real Doom game came from. But now that I've explained all that, I think it's time that we're fully equipped to dive into the discussion of which of these two Doom 3s is better. So first we're going to look at some of the differences between the two games, as I feel it's necessary when comparing these games. Doom 3 BFG Edition acted almost as a semi-remaster of Doom 3. I mean, it's no Halo 2 Anniversary or Quake Remastered, but you'll understand why I use that term in just a minute. Doom 3 BFG Edition has some slight visual changes. For instance, the game is generally brighter, some of the textures have been improved, and the game can also run in higher resolutions without having to go through a massive hassle with the game like you do with the original version. In terms of other quality of life things that have been improved, the game not only gives you the ability to play Doom 3 and both of its expansions, Resurrection of Evil and The Lost Mission, but it also gives you the ability to play Doom 1 and Doom 2, which to be fair is a really good deal, I mean, that's 5 campaigns for the price of 1. But the game begins to have some more controversial changes when it comes to the gameplay. While the rest of the changes in the game are great and a welcome addition, apart from the game being brighter, a lot of the gameplay changes kinda miss the point of Doom 3, and it creates an almost watered down version of the game, at least in my opinion. For starters, the game is made much easier, with increased amounts of ammo that you can find scattered all around the world. As in, compared to the original, in BFG edition, there is mountains of ammo to be found. Right now you may be thinking, but Beansprout, is more ammo in a first person shooter not a good thing? And in some games, yes, you're right, but not in this game. You see, exploring to find things such as ammo and PDAs to get codes for the lockers is a big part of Doom 3. But when there's so much ammo dumped onto the player, it really makes these parts of the game feel pretty pointless, as it's pretty easy just to breeze through the game, generally ignoring all of this stuff, as you'll never run out of ammo. But ammo is the least of the game's problems in terms of changes to the gameplay, as now the flashlight is mounted to your shoulder, just like what is seen in the duct tape mod for the original game. Now this is a pretty controversial change, some people love it, other people don't. I'm in the camp that really doesn't like it. This would be fine, but it makes a lot of the otherwise tense combat encounters in dark spaces lose what makes them special, and although the flashlight can run out of battery, it recharges extremely fast, and paired with the brighter environment, it makes the game a little less impactful when you're in these dark areas, and it's really a shame in my opinion, as I believe one of the best things about Doom 3 is how well it utilised the engine and how the shadows and lighting worked. And when everything's so bright in Doom 3 BFG edition, it just makes the game feel kinda flat. Like, you're not wondering if, oh my god, that's a dark area, is there gonna be an imp in there that's gonna jump out at me? Because you can already see everything for the most part. A lot of what makes Doom 3 fun for me is that it puts you into more stressful situations that could not be done in games before it, making good use of the game's lighting engine. Examples would be like what I just mentioned, putting you in a dark room full of enemies that you can't see without a light source. But instead of being able to fire your weapon at the same time as seeing the enemies, you have to juggle between being able to see and being able to fight the threat that's in front of you. But that makes encounters with enemies just that bit more intense, and it also adds to the game's overall atmosphere, and that feeling that you really are trying to survive a demon invasion on Mars, in which you are one of the only survivors. I feel like the only downside of the original version of Doom 3 is that it's kind of a pain in the arse to get the game set up, which can be annoying when you're a first time player and you just want to sit down and have a nice gaming session. Plus the game isn't on consoles, so people who either don't like playing on PC or can't afford the luxury of a PC, then they only really have one option, and that's BFG edition. However, for those of you who are playing on PC and are willing to take the extra 10 or so minutes to properly set the game up, for modern resolutions and such, then I highly recommend playing the original version over the BFG edition, because while BFG edition comes with the original 2 Doom games as well, it isn't really the best way to experience them, and you're much better off using a source port such as GZ Doom. And let's be real, the money that you save from playing these games through BFG edition isn't really that much when you consider playing a much higher quality version of these 2 games elsewhere, and that Doom 3 itself may be a much better experience if you play the original version, how it was intended to be played. Plus, if you did it this way and wanted to play the BFG edition later on to see what it's all about, you'd gain a much greater appreciation for both versions of the game. Also, yes, before anybody says it, I do in fact know that John Carmack wanted the flashlight to be shoulder mounted, but wasn't able to due to technical limitations. But because that is not how the game was released, I will forever stand by the fact that the version without the shoulder mounted flashlight is how the game was intended to be played. Because the shoulder mounted flashlight wasn't possible, the game was probably designed around the fact that you had to switch to your flashlight as a separate item and not being able to shoot at the same time. But have you played these games? If so, then which one did you think was better? Let me know in the comments section, as I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts. And while you're down there, I highly recommend liking this video and subscribing to the channel so that more people can hopefully join in on the discussion. If you'd like to watch more content about Doom 3 than me, then I'd highly recommend watching my video in which I discuss why most people are wrong about Doom 3. That will show up on the right, and if you want to watch my latest video, then that will show up on the left. I also have a merch store if you'd like to further support the channel and fund more videos such as this, and I also have a Discord server, so if you'd like to talk about topics similar to this with others, then that's a great place to do it. But aside from that, I have nothing else to say to you today, so thank you for watching, and as always, have a nice day.